Some analysts on the street, though, are worried about...
Hey there, Lincoln here from bullacademy.org. Today we're going to do a quick reaction video to the CEO of SoFi, Anthony Noto, speaking to CNBC about the student loan refinancing business unit of SoFi and why there's a lot of growth left to be had as student loan debt payments resume in this October, after being paused since the beginning of the pandemic and pretty much bringing SoFi's student loan business unit to a halt. It hasn't seen much growth or any at all over the last few years. And now investors are really excited to see that this business can pick back up. And after we watch this quick clip, I'm going to explain to you what he's saying and my perspective on what this means for SoFi and its stock, of course, the valuation going forward. But before we get into the interview, if you enjoyed this video and you would like me to do more of them, do me a quick favor and like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Now let's get to the interview.
Anthony, we're showing the stock chart, and the stock has had a monster run this year, up 150% almost. Even just since mid-May, the stock is up about 75%, and a lot of that is on the move by Congress to say, you know, folks with student loans, you got to start paying in the fall, and then also the Supreme Court knocking down President Biden's debt forgiveness plan. Some analysts on the street, though, are worried about that notion that there is a big opportunity around student loan refinancing, that is perhaps smaller than what investors think there should be. And so I'm wondering if you could walk us through what you're seeing so far and if you can address that concern.
Well, before he addresses that concern, just keep in mind the idea of an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. There are so many students out there, and every year there's new students who need to pay for college, and SoFi has only began to pretty much crack this industry. If you think SoFi's business is good today, especially in their lending department, just imagine how much growth is left given what Anthony Noto is about to say. Now let's continue.
Yeah, the interesting thing that I'd point out in this quarter is that we had our 9th quarter of record revenue. And that was driven by record revenue in our technology platform revenue, i.e. not lending, and our financial services business, which also had a record quarter. So it was the first time in our history that in our 9th quarter, that record was driven by these two non-lending businesses doing so well. Our lending business has continued to do well also, but the diversification is what's being recognized. As it relates to student loans, there's 40 million Americans that still have federal student loans that they haven't refinanced. SoFi, in our history, has not financed more than 1 million people on their federal student loans. So there's still 39 million people out there for us to help lower their cost of paying back their student loans. But that's on the come. That wasn't in this quarter. This quarter, our student loan business was still relatively depressed.
What he's saying there is that there is a 40x opportunity out there for this business, this student loan refinancing business. They have done less than 1 million in student loan refinances, and there are 39 million more. There's 40 million total student loan debt holders out there that they can do refinancing for. And of course, he's going to explain why they would do a refinance with SoFi, even though rates are high or even when rates are lower. So let's listen.
We don't expect to see a meaningful pickup until the end of the year and going into 2024. But the larger thing I'd focus everyone on is that there's 40 million people that still have expensive federal student loans, and we can help them lower their cost on an interest rate basis or on a monthly basis by extending the term.
Yeah, so something that I've always wondered myself is when I got this shirt because I refinanced my Parent Plus student loan from the government with SoFi in 2019. And that's when I first discovered SoFi. But at that time, I got a pretty good deal because my interest rate on my government loan was high and SoFi was lower. So I've always wondered, why would someone with a low interest rate on their government student loan want to do a refinance to a private loan with, let's say, SoFi? And what he just explained is exactly why. Because even though you might have a lower interest rate, you might not be able to afford the monthly payments on that government loan because of how your terms were set up. And so your monthly bill is too high for you to afford at this current moment. But with SoFi, if you were to do a refinance, you might get a longer loan term. And so it might cost you more over the long term. It might cost you a larger sum. But in the short term, while you're trying to figure out your life and start your career, you can then pay less every month. even with a higher interest rate, because you've extended your term. So that's why someone might refinance their student loans with SoFi, even in a high rate environment as we have today. And people are struggling. Many six-figure earners are still living paycheck to paycheck. So basically everyone in this economy is struggling to make ends meet and even live comfortably. So if you can refinance student loans with a private lender like SoFi and get a lower monthly payment, then that decreases your financial stress every month. And so what Anthony just said is that there are 40 million of them out there, student loan debt holders, that we can go after and get into our funnel using our financial services, which are a loss leader for the history of SoFi. It doesn't make money. The banking, the investment app, and all the other services that SoFi offers, those are the financial services that they use to attract customers and then get them into their funnel, at which point they can offer them student loans and personal loans and mortgages and so on and so forth, because they've built a one-stop shop. And so what they have to do is use those financial services to get the customers in the door. And that has been growing fast, as he noted early in the video, in that clip. He noted that they're seeing record revenues from those units, the financial services and the tech platform Galileo, which we've covered in many videos on this channel. Go check them out, bullacademy.org. And as the company continues to grow and the financial services does better, that will, of course, bring in more people who have student loans and need to refinance or want to refinance, and it'll be easier for them to choose SoFi because they're already in the ecosystem. They're already in this one-stop shop. And again, 40 million, we've done 1 million. There is a large opportunity out there for SoFi to go capture a big chunk of that market. And if they even get to 5 million, that's a big deal. If they get to 2 million, that's double what they've already done over their history. If they get to 3, that's 3x. So we should, of course, be aware that it's a big market and there's lots of competitors. But if SoFi can offer the best rates, which is why it's important that they have the bank charter, because they can collect customer deposits, which makes their cost of funding their loans cheaper, which means that they can pass on those savings to their customers, people who refinance with SoFi. If they can continue to offer the best rates on those refinanced loans, then people out there, potential customers, will be more likely to come and select SoFi as their private lender when they have to refinance their government loans, because they need to, of course, cut down on their monthly payments in the short term, even if it costs them more in the long term, because they can, of course, refinance in the future when rates do go down. They can refinance again with SoFi and get a better rate and, of course, renew their terms. So that really stood out to me in this interview. This was a great interview with CNBC, and I covered the first part of it in my last video, so go check that out if you haven't. It was about SoFi's customer deposits and direct deposits growing rapidly, $2.7 billion in the last quarter, Q2 of 2023. That's a huge deal, as I briefly touched on in this video just now, about why that improves their profitability in their lending department. So that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, do me a big favor and like the video, because that's what keeps me, that's my lifeblood. Your likes makes my day. It costs you nothing, but it's a big deal for me as a content creator, as a YouTuber. So if you like it, share, and of course comment your thoughts below and let me know what you would like me to cover in the next video, if on SoFi or any other company. I appreciate you being here. I'm Lincoln with bullacademy.org. Thank you again and have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.